because you end up just like
for sure.
we shoot the shit for like 25 minutes and be like, why didn't we record all that stuff? There's no like, there's no reason to not record it. We're not just talking about normal stuff. Um, so this is a new idea. Everybody's doing them, right? Everybody's doing podcasts. Just pick a random game or pick
Or
out.
rock in any direction, a random subject, and there's a podcast on it.
Yeah, and realistically, I mean, all you have to do is talk about something, and if someone finds it interesting, they'll click it and they'll say, "Oh, yeah, these two idiots are fucking actually kind of interesting." Oh, and they drink bourbon. I like that too. Oh, and they hate little kids at game. I mean, you don't hate little kids at game, but you know what I'm
It'd be
saying.
nice if they grow up a little bit.
Oh man, it's just so bad, especially when you're playing free games. When you get like those
Yeah.
the free games and they're just like the kids like, I've got okay, I'm banned. Well, let's do it again. I don't care.
Hey, or yeah, re-download, get a new version, and off you go.
It's pretty bad when like it's little kids like, go fuck your mom. It's like, what? Who's letting their kids say this?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the question is, where are the parents, right? Like, what are they? Like, if I ever heard my kids talking to somebody like that on over anything, any medium, then I mean, I'd flip out. They'd lose their privileges for like a week.
Live a week. I fucking call it. Tried like a year and a half. I'd be sending them off to boarding school with no video games. Be like, guess what? You just lost what Minecraft is. Oh god, sorry. I'm just moving some lights here that are reflecting right on my glasses. Good
You're getting
old
like a
glasses.
blue light. Where's the blue light coming from?
That's my mood lighting, man. That's,
Oh,
that's my
you don't
mood
notice
lighting.
I got my LEDs running. They're doing the police red, blue, and white
Oh,
above. Yeah.
you can't tell. Is it? Do you have like other light on too, or? Oh, nice. I like it.
Yeah, I just put it on the inside of the shelf that I built up there.
You know, you
I want
should.
to get another row of them as well, and maybe another one that goes along the bottom.
Yeah. If you turn off the one light, you'd actually probably end up looking pretty good. Okay, maybe they're
Can't
not.
see
Maybe they're
anything.
not bright enough. Oh man.
But
So can't.
the
Yeah.
plan eventually was, if I ever really do anything in here, is to set up some sort of shelving thing behind with some more lights and whatnot.
Okay.
But we'll see how it goes eventually.
Yeah. Eventually, everything's an eventuality. I think at this point.
Yeah. Did I ever show you? Did I ever show you this?
Oh no, who made that?
Uh, where'd it go? Oh my god, I can't. There.
I think
Leal
it's
had it. Maybe I'll take it down.
no. You did. Didn't Liao do that for like Father's Day or your birthday a while ago?
Yeah. So
That's
it's
pretty
like
slick.
it's a inch and a half thick or 2 inches thick, and it's like just burnt whatever kind of wood it is, burnt oak, and they did the design on it and put a little paint on it. Looks fantastic. I love it. It's like the best part of my decor down here.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. That's pretty slick. Yeah, I'm fine. Kind of set up in my basement now, like or in my office. I've got uh, I've got my Team Canada jersey up there, my Lindros jersey on the wall,
Mm-hmm.
and then beside that, I've got I ran 5K Terry Fox run in Dubai when I was deployed. Good
Okay.
times. Got my bike with my trainer on it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, my some artwork and stuff. I got a fish tank and that's slowly dying. But yeah, I got some my other stuff set up there, just some memorabilia and stuff. But it's mainly a workout space since I mean, my amount of gaming has gone from 8 to
Yeah.
10 hours a day to 8 to 9 hours every 3 weeks or something like that. Every once in a while, it gets a little bit longer, but just I enjoy working out a lot more now than I did when I was in the military. Even it's kind of strange. It's like, what could I be doing right now? Let's just, you know what? Screw it. Let's just work out. That's the so. But I mean, I have more time on my hands right now as well. More time than I did in the military. which
Yeah.
is nice. It's nice and it's kind of not nice at the same time. But uh, I did finally jump. I did finally make the jump, and I signed up for. I changed my degree choice for the third time in 3 years. So I think now I'm gonna probably go for like physiotherapy or something. Like I changed to human sciences, and so I signed up for a biology course in September. And oh man, I've never been good at biology, so I'm gonna have to study my ass off
Yeah.
over and over again. That'll be a lot of bourbon to go through then. That's for sure. Yeah. Um, but the main part of this project is really to talk about what's coming out and what's going on. So I like I said, I think I've been living under a table because Starflight just kind of came out of nowhere for
Field?
me.
Is it Starfield or Starflight?
Starfield, Starflight. See, I don't even remember the name of it. That's how friggin' bad it is. Here. I don't want that being on the main screen here. Starfield. That's it. You know what? With between Dragonflight for a while and like other flight, this flight, that flight,
Mhm.
it's been I've been a little bit off with it, but um, it's funny enough that it's like pretty much there's already a whole bunch of controversy over it too. There people are
Oh yeah.
like, well, they're all just like, oh, okay. So I was reading an interview on IGN that they are having with the main developer Todd Howard, talking about how there is no transition from like there's no flight transition from planetary to space. You don't get to do that. So you're not flying and landing on planet. You're not taking off from the
It's
planet.
just auto done, right? Like it's load screens.
It's load screens, yeah. And I think there's like some mix in the community, at least that seems, that are upset about that. Where
Well, I mean, what's the that No Man's Sky has has the ability to just do that, right? You're flying in space, you fly into the planet. What's that? What's the other one that you were talking about the other day?
Elite Dangerous
Yeah,
has that.
they have that too, right?
Yeah,
Where you
they
just
brought that
fly
out
from
with one of
space to
them.
the planet.
Yeah, they brought that
And I
out with
mean,
one of theirs.
the suggestion is that Star Citizen's the same way. So I mean, a lot of the game companies look like they're pushing towards that transitionless system. But I mean, in a solo, like that's one thing if you're playing multiplayer and you could at any point run into somebody else, it seems like it's important. But once you get to a point where you're playing a solo space RPG, is it really needed?
For me, I was just like, well, I feel like if I'm playing an RPG and I find it really hard to get into the RP part of the G, so for me, it would be like, how much of your are you getting out of your character moving into that function, right? Like,
Hmm.
okay, so I'm taking off. I just stole a ship from some dude, from some pirates on this planet, and me and my crew that I've hired, th- their ship's better, so we're taking off with it. And I hit a loading screen. There's no pirates are running up to our ship and taking it and chasing us through the atmosphere. I mean, maybe they do. Maybe you still would get that kind of chase aspect once you're in space, but I don't know if it's going to if like, Todd Howard, the guy, or did I say Todd Howard? I think I did. Yeah, he's saying that it's not necessary for the player. Like the player doesn't need that in the game. It doesn't break the story enough, or it doesn't break the gameplay enough for them to spend the time to engineer that in.
Yeah.
So I can understand it from like game sense, budgetary sense. You just like this. Do you really want that? Like, and
I mean, short of us seeing these sequences, like have if we haven't even seen this in any of the footage that I've seen, I mean, we don't even know what it's going to be like. So, I mean, we might like the way it is. We might prefer it another way, but until we actually see what it is and how it works, I don't think ultimately. I think we have to just wait for that information.
yeah, and realistically, I don't. Is it? I don't. Is it going to be game breaking? Probably not. Not at all. I think it. He. The way they're stating the game is that being on the planet and being in space are two separate like worlds. That's
Hmm.
how they're saying it. I mean, if it's a loading screen like Destiny 2, where you click the planet, you go to the planet, and then you're in that loading screen for way too long. Like,
Yeah, that would be a problem. I didn't like that in Destiny.
yeah, I found that was really kind of like unnerving when you're like, you've got all these kind of giant planets. Not really. I mean, realistically, Destiny map's not that big, but you have this loading screen that is taking up most of your like a lot of the game time, especially like for guys that have less time to play. Like if it's seamless in the sense of you lift off, you go to space, and it's kind of more like a seamless transition where it gives you like a cutscene, and then that cutscene you're in space right away. So
Yeah.
I think that'll be whether or not it becomes game breaking for it. But my opinion though too. We'll see. Um, did you take a look at the reveal video for it? Like the gameplay
Yeah.
reveal?
Yeah.
Um, what did you think of the character creation?
I think it looks pretty standard. I mean, it's not. It's standard for their style of games. I think. It's nothing groundbreaking, but I mean, you appeared to have a pile of options.
Yeah, like a pile of options. Like
Yeah.
you can customize your walk.
Yeah. But isn't there? They have. What was their other? Do they have another RPG that like a medieval one that they had?
I don't know if Skyrim wasn't that in depth. Like you
No.
could change your
Well,
facial
but
features, body
Skyrim's a few
side.
years old too, right?
Yeah, how was Fallout 76's? Like I didn't play Fallout 76. Like
I Yeah, I didn't do any of the Fallout games either.
I heard there's just too many problems with 76, so I just passed on it. But I don't think you're. I don't think that. I think this is probably their most robust character creation so far.
Mm-hmm.
Um, oh, that was too loud. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be like there's going to be traits that you can pick in it as well. That are gonna, I guess, kind of define your character overall throughout the game.
Mm-hmm.
My always biggest problem with all these traits and stuff like that is like you start your character and you start developing your character. Well, what happens when you get like halfway through the game and you're like, shit, I picked the wrong traits for how I'm actually playing the game. Like that was always my thing. It was just like, oh, okay, so I'm gonna pick this stealthy character or whatever, and then you get like halfway through the game, you realize stealth just ain't working, and you're like, but now I can't use anything that has, like I need to pick up this giant hammer, but I now need to re-roll these traits that you pick off right off the bat.
Couldn't carry it or use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's just my take on it though. I mean, I was wondering, yeah, but that character creation seemed like everybody seemed jazzed about it. Like there I don't know if there's just a certain amount of the community or community in general for gaming that is just like the game is going to be broken or made on character creation screen.
I mean, I've heard people talk like that before. I don't know. I don't know that it's ever gotten any real traction though. That kind of thinking.
Yeah. No, who knows? Someone out there will be like that. They'll be like, yeah, it's
Well, I mean, it's 2022, right? Everybody loves a good complainer.
yeah, no doubt. What about the ship creation? Did you think that was like worthwhile?
So that was like a modular system, right? So you could just like piecemeal parts together and whatnot. I thought, I mean, it can be interesting. I'm optimistic that it'll work properly. I know with other games that had modular systems, you tended to see stuff that would kind of fit, but it wouldn't link up properly. But I mean, if they've got the tech right, and hopefully they do that kind of stuff right, and check it over and make sure that it all connects properly and whatnot before they release, then it should turn out pretty well.
Yeah, kind of what I'm wondering is like you've got an in-depth crafting system that again as per reports from everybody saying it's the most in-depth crafting system Bethesda's ever put out, and then you've got ship creation and then docking, and then you got ship combat, then you got ground combat, then you have your factions, and you're going. A lot of people are saying that the project just seems too big for what is coming out. I mean, for my argument, I mean, the game, even though I wasn't tracking, had its initial release or reveal in 2018, right? So we've 5 years, almost 6 years before it comes out. It's, I mean, you've got 5 years in development to get these systems right and to flesh them out. I would hope, I mean, being said, things have gone awry before and you've waited longer for games than we should have.
What games could that have been?
I
know
don't
what you're
know.
talking about.
Part of a video I was doing earlier was I had a little screen caption of when I actually subscribed to Star Citizen, flashed it up, it's like 2013. I'm like, yeah, okay, so anyways, let's not talk about that. Let's kind of put it on the side burner. But I mean, 5 years, and they're saying 100 systems, 1,000 planets,
Yeah.
procedurally generated after a fashion, not completely procedurally generated, but procedurally generated. Like, with how ambitious the game is slated to be, are these systems going to actually function? You know, like you're saying, if you put a piece on the ship here, is it going to look right? Is it going to fit right? Is it going to connect with the rest of the ship? Like, are there going to be limits?
Because you turn around and walk around in the ship too, right? So as you're walking around in these transitions between these sections, is it going to look right? Is it connected right? Like, you don't want to like be walking through and then like you see these giant bumps between the sections. You're like, oh well, that's that section, that new section that I put on. Like, yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but I mean, it's very interesting, and obviously everybody loves to craft stuff, right? Like, you go into any of these other survival games, they give you the option to build your house, your tower, your bunker, if you will. So everybody likes that kind of stuff, and now and with Starfield, you get that option to do that with your ship directly. So I mean, the sky's the limit on what kind of designs you can have. You could have anything now. I mean, I'm sure there will be people making their favorite starships from other games, series, movies, whatever.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Have
I
a big
mean,
enterprise.
well, yeah, I mean, didn't look like that kind of a style, but I mean, similar stuff. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the community ends up coming out with later too, right? You get all those guys that are like, "I just found a way to make this ship. You should try it too," and you're like, "Wow, yeah." In order for me to make that ship, I would have to spend so much time playing it, and like they've said, the storyline is about 30 to 40 hours of gameplay. They've basically saying that there's just so many quests in there and stuff like that it's going to be about 30 to 40 hours, so 20% longer than other Bethesda games that have come out in the past. That begs the question then, is how long does it take you to build that ship? Like, are you mining all the materials? Are you buying all the materials? Is stuff gated behind reputation or factions? And like,
Well, or is it even worth putting your time towards that? Because at the end of the day, you're playing a 30 or 40 hour game. Does it end at the end of that time? Is it an open sandbox? Can you still continue to go out and do maybe not individual storyline missions, but can you still go out and just do whatever, right? Like, is there a longevity there?
yeah, I think it's kind of like Skyrim, right? In the sense that you've got that open world after. You've got that open galaxy now. So it's go out, just like, is there going to be, I think when you're going down that line, it comes to me is like, is it going to be, there are going to be side quests there to find? Like, are you just flying out to planet 988 to fly out to planet 988 because that's almost the last one that you need to charter, or is there like a bounty hunt where Buddy said they're in this system, you need to go charter this galaxy to see if, or this system to see if he's there and find out any information. Like, for me, I need direction. Most people are like, I got a sandbox game, I'm so happy, I'm just gonna fly around and do whatever. I'm on the other side of the spectrum where I'm like, look, if you don't tell me to go out there and do something, I'm not going out there. Okay, it's just not going to happen. I mean, is there something cool out there? Maybe. Do I want to go out there and spend 6 hours of flight time? Not really, unless you're going to give me a million credits. It's just straight up, man.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. It's sandbox in that sense. Like you've got your world, so I don't. The game doesn't end at 40 hours, but I think it becomes the crafting game and the exploring game and the completionist game. How many
Mm.
people can you shoot in a knee with an arrow, kind of thing. Like I think that's where they're going with it after that. So
I wonder, it'd be super interesting if this was their stepping stone. Like this would be their version of Star Citizen Squadron 42, right? That's their stepping stone game, and it's my understanding now that CIG has put all their effort into Squadron 42 to get that going and out. I wonder if this could be like their precursor to a much larger game, a much and you walk into this new game, you can pull your character in, and those thousand planets, 100 systems, or whatever it is your starting area that you've already completed, and then you start this new gigantic MMO, and all of a sudden you're out there with a properly procedurally generated universe, and it just keeps expanding. And you go from there based off the storyline that's created in this RPG.
I think that would be really good. I mean, I think that's the hard part for me, right? Is I like multiplayer. Like, I'm not a big single player guy. Like, I've finished one single player game in the last. Okay, let's not talk about how long it's been. Let's just go with that. Like, yeah, I finished Jedi Fallen Order, and that was like, that was it. That's the only single player game I've played in probably. Oh man, I don't know, 15 years ish, give or take. Like, I'm not a
I
big
don't
single player person.
I don't know the last, like, I mean, mine would be worse almost. The only single player game that I honestly remember finishing was like Wolfenstein 3D. Like, I mean, grandfather of all FPSs, right? Like, we're talking like 25 years ago, 30 years ago.
Yeah, yeah. No, I finished Doom. I did. I finished the first Doom. Yeah,
I don't
definitely.
even know if I finished the first Doom.
No, I did. I did because I bought it for Super Nintendo and I played through it there. So I
Oh,
had.
see, I didn't do a whole lot of console gaming. I did most of my gaming on PC
I
once
mean,
we had one.
well, yeah. Well, that's just it. We didn't have a PC until I was in high school, so that tells you how long I got in. It took me to get into PC gaming. But that I think that's the biggest thing for me is they're like, okay, we got 34 hours of story time, and they're like, you can crew your ship with NPCs and blah blah blah. I'm like, this this is so cool in the sense of you are going to let me design my own ship. You're going to let me steal other ships,
Hmm.
but I can't bring my friend. I can't bring my buddy along for the
Yeah,
ride. Like you can't have that epic.
even if it was like four-person co-op or something.
Even 4 person co-op, I'd be fine with. That would be amazing. You know,
Yeah,
freaking.
I don't remember the last game that I played. Actually, that's a lie. Recently, one of the newer Wolfenstein games was on Epic for free, so I downloaded that and I started playing it. But other than that, I don't remember the last single-player game that I've played.
You need to play Jedi Fallen Order. You do. The ending is so epic.
Well, I mean, I picked up Star Wars Squadrons, and I just
Oof.
that was on my previous PC, but I haven't really gotten into it. It was chugging a bit, so I ended up deleting it. But
It was chugging on guys' systems with i9s. Like,
wow,
oh yeah, I had a few friends that were playing it, and they were just like, "This game is chugging," and I've got a 3080 with an i9 11900 or whatever it is. Like they were quite literally surprised at how terrible the performance was when it first came out. I can't say I'm surprised, but I
hmm
it's kind of sad though that's the state of the game. But that is going to be my biggest sticking point is the multiplayer issue for it. I mean, I just feel like you've got all these really cool scenarios where you're landing on a planet or you're building an outpost, and like it maybe it will be that stepping stone where they're going to be like, okay, now we'll open this up to multiplayer, and you guys can do this with a group of 4, and here's your persistence universe, right? Like here's your procedurally generated systems, and we've put in the money to do random quests and bounty hunts and all this stuff. Or it could just be a stepping stone for them to be like, we are doing the biggest Fallout game we've ever done. Who knows? It's really really hard to say at that point. So I guess it's going to be a wait and see what comes out of it in the next year or two. Once it does release in 2023, which they haven't said when in 2023, they just said we're going to release it in 2023.
Yeah.
So I'm not the real like looking at what they've offered for features now. Are you going to go out and spend, well, what it would be at that time, maybe $90 for a video game? Like,
They're getting expensive.
right? Like I'm gonna guess it's gonna be Xbox. It's an Xbox game, but they're giving the game on like their Game Pass type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can play it day one on with the Game Pass if you've got it. I don't know if that means they have to buy the game too, or maybe it's just that once you have Game Pass, we release it to you. But I don't. I mean, the not having multiplayer for me is just like, I don't know if I want to spend $60 on this thing or $90 on this thing or however much they decide they want to make it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the hardest.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm very much in games for the social aspect, so I
Yeah.
don't know. I just don't know if it'll be that much of enough of a draw for me either.
Yeah. I mean, and what does it offer that there isn't in any other game that's out right now? I mean, I'm not No Man's Sky. It's not bad. I mean, it's not a great game, but it has that same sandboxy feel where you just kind of you're picking up parts and it's kind of telling you how to make your shuttle, and then once your shuttle's made, you explore and do all that fun stuff. And Elite Dangerous, same idea, and it's pretty well through its development, and it's out, and it doesn't have like the talent traits or the RP or the story behind it, but you can play multiplayer with your friends in a random, like you can create a server, you can be on a server with just you and your friend going hunting people, right, or hunting AI or whatever, I think there's just I looked at that X4 Frontier one too that you suggested too.
Yeah.
And that one's more of a space sim, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's the big difference. Like looking at what's out there and what's coming out, and that's I think another part of the controversy people are saying is it's that space sim community being like shooting down the ships aren't real, blah blah blah. It's not space sim. Like it's like, okay, hold on a second. It's an RPG, people. Like straight up, just know what you know what the limits of the game are. It's an RPG. Just give it a rest. Just let it go. Like let go of your space simness. That's just me though. I think we've talked that one into the ground for sure. There's going to be apparently a lot of docking in this game as well. You're allowed to dock. Yeah, docking of ships. I'm guessing. I don't know if you're going to be able to. I'm guessing if you can dock, you can go with get to a bigger ship and board and do boarding party stuff. But again, all this fun shit you want to do with a group of 4, like if it was like Ready or Not, where you could fly with your friends, plan the mission, say what you're going to do, take certain gear, dock with another ship, board it, and go in and carry out that mission, and then get out with the boot, like all the stuff that's on there, would be awesome. Like that's pretty cool, which is kind of what Star Citizen's kind of going towards, right? I mean, but when will we see the full game? Who knows? Yeah. So it might be like one of those things where it's a time sink for the next little while. Gives you something to do if you really want a single player game to play. I mean,
Oh, sorry, I was just watching the teaser trailer for Starfield. and at the end of it, it said 11/11/22.
Oh, 11/11/22. Okay, my bad. That's still quite a few. That's still a little bit out.
It's November 11th. Yeah,
2022.
yeah. That's what
Oh,
it said at the end. It had 2022 on it.
weird. Everything I've read was 2023. Maybe it is 2022. Like maybe they're like Q1 2023 or something like that.
Maybe, yeah.
That's yeah, cool. Well, we'll see. I mean, I'm not gonna go out and spend $90 on it probably because I know that I'll put 5 hours into it and then forget about it. So
Well, yeah, exactly, right. It all depends on where it's at. It'd be, I still, I mean, it's 2022. Who's making games that aren't multiplayer?
Bethesda.
Like at least co-op, not Bethesda. Uh, maybe not just like a full-on game, but at least a co-op thing.
Yeah, 100%. It doesn't make sense.
Maybe
It,
even like what is it? State of Decay 2, where everybody kind of plays their own game, but you can join somebody else's, and you're not really bringing stuff from your game. You're just bringing your character in and playing now in their story for that time period, kind of a thing.
yeah,
Um, and then kind of go back into your own if you want after.
that makes
But
sense.
yeah, I don't know.
Like even like Dead by Daylight. I'm pretty sure you can still do co-op in the multiplayer. There's still big multiplayer in there for that as well, right? Like,
Yeah.
and that's like a big building game and crafting systems as well. So,
I didn't get into that one either, so I don't know a whole lot about it. But
I played it while I was bored in Africa. That's it was something to do. I wasn't really that big into it as well, but we'll see. Again, who knows? Times could change and be like, all I want to do is play single player games, but I can't see that. I can't see that for me. I can't see that for a lot of people. I mean, sure, I'm guessing there'll be people that buy it. Maybe people that just play console and that's what they want to do is play that on their console in front of their TV, right? They might not
yeah,
care. Like, I'm guessing more people who play console are probably a little bit more into that single player side of things and they're willing to, sit there and play it all day. So, I don't know. I don't know.
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. If it's being designed mostly for an Xbox, then I mean, you're looking at. I mean, they have multiplayer too, obviously, but I mean, you're more apt to find somebody who's going to sit there and play a single player game as well. Whereas I don't see that as much with PC games anymore.
No, no. I think PC games are. I'm pretty sure they'd be really, really harped on if they didn't include a multiplayer aspect to their piece to a PC game. Like this is it's being shown as Xbox main Xbox game, right? Like it's saying and PC that means we're gonna get the short end of the stick. It's gonna be a port probably at best, and how it's ported. I mean, in the video I watched, the reveal gameplay, I thought I saw some chugging as the character was. I don't know if that was just the way they were doing the transition,
Oh, really?
or yeah, I, I swear that's what I think it was like the character walks up to these moon animals or whatever you want to call them, moon lizards, and they kind of stand up, and it just felt like the game either they intentionally slowed it down to show you how the character works, or it chugged, and I was just like, that's not ideal. But then again, that could be early footage that they've thrown in to just give you an idea of what's going on, right? And that they still have a year-ish, 7 months, 6 months before they actually release, and they'll tidy things up and make it all nice and tickety boo, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Don't know, but I was not impressed. I was not impressed by seeing the chugging. That was bad. I was like, oof, oof. Did the production guy get
I
fired?
I have to say though, that mech robot thing, its movement I thought was really like it was very clearly robotic. Like it's not just a an avatar for a person moving, right? It legit looked like a bipedal robot would move um, in that world, I guess.
Yeah, I
Thought
really
that was
enjoyed
kind of
that
neat.
too. I think I think some of the systems would be interesting, like to see what you can create, like what kind of robots you can make to go with you, and what like companions you can have to fly. Like that part sounds really interesting. But again, it all comes down to I can't have a buddy on the mission with me, so it's
Yeah.
like I play. I've got a buddy I play a little bit, or I have played with a little bit of Astroneer with.
Hmm.
It's like playing that by yourself is how I would feel playing going into this game. It'd be like,
Yeah.
yeah, you're doing all this amazing crafting. You got all this really cool stuff going. You're going to a different planet, but you're not multiplayer and you're not doing it with a friend. You're just kind of like chugging through the game alone and being kind of lonely per se. But I mean, some people also like to develop their character, right? They like to hire that crew and then fall in love with one of the crew because they got nothing better to do with their time and make
Hmm.
relationships with the crew. I'm like,
Well, they did that in what was that other day where other game there? The ship was called the Normandy. Uh, oh, it's like
I'm gonna have to look it up now.
yeah, I should know it. It's probably a
Mass
10-year
Effect.
old game now. Yeah, Mass
Mass
Effect. Yeah.
Effect. Yeah.
So they basically that's the kind of actually that might be a good comparison for what they're trying to do here. Only this is obviously a larger scale than Mass Effect.
Yeah, and a lot more open
Um,
world.
yeah, and I mean I just happen to be looking at the combat from that release video, and I mean it's looking decent. Um, but it's very clearly a console style game. Like the way they're switching weapons isn't very PC orientated,
No.
and but I don't know that I don't necessarily know that I saw the chugging that you were talking about, at least
Uh,
in the combat.
it.
But
Yeah, it was fine in the combat. Maybe it was just the way that they had shown the
those
alien.
creatures,
Yeah, that's maybe what it was to me. And it's probably just
now,
they were doing it for effect. I think at that point.
yeah, now I see that the combat is definitely um like an FPS. Well, sorry, I guess it's third person clearly because well switches between,
Yeah, they
but
switched back and forth.
it's it's very it is an arcadey style system. It's not like an FPS that we play like it's Call of Duty or anything like that necessarily. Um, it kind of reminds me of Destiny, only it doesn't have the numbers ticking off of their HP points like Destiny had.
It's almost the Division esque.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, where you're
division
going
based
to
kind of thing.
yeah the bigger higher enemies you're gonna get to. It's gonna take longer to kill them and everything. Eventually, I
Hmm.
mean, maybe because they're level 2, they die so fast. It's like who cares? But but they're hiding there too, eh? In that combat scene, the guys are hiding behind stuff.
Yeah,
And
they're using cover and whatnot, and moving around,
but I mean, how much cover are you gonna be able to use? Or are you just gonna be able to hide behind a couple things by like, um,
crouching, or yeah.
yeah?
Is there like going to be a like lean functionality and stuff like that?
I mean, usually with oh, he's got a little jetpack too, eh? That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I didn't notice that the initial jump that he made to the laboratory. Overall, though, I mean, like for guys that want a space game, that they'll pick it up, they'll give it a go for a little while, and then kind of be bored. But I don't know. Um, any final thoughts on it? I mean, I think we beat it like a dead horse. So
yeah. I think so. I mean, no matter what, I think at the end of the day, it's a wait and see
yeah,
to see what it ends up having to offer upon release.
yeah. Um, cool. Sounds good, man. That was 40 minutes.
Was it? That's not bad.
That's pretty good for first go at it. First kick at the can.
Yeah, and just kind of shooting the shit on
Just
everything.
just shooting the shit. And realistically, it took doesn't take. I'm gonna well whatever we can I can splice this part out. That's not a big deal. Like and it's realistically just throw a whole bunch of ideas at the wall, and pick here and there what we want to talk about and what's interesting. So and
Mhm.
like I said, someone finds it interesting, they'll go and they'll take a look and they'll watch and no, could friggin' could end up having like 1,000 people on YouTube over time, and it, you never know. You gotta start small and dream big, right? And as long as you
Yeah.
gotta put the effort in each time, and it for how much time it took me to look up this stuff and do it, it just means I'll have to actually pay attention to gaming news, see what's coming out and where things are going, and
I
then
mean,
that way.
to be fair, the more we pay attention, the less we. I mean, it's not as much of our opinion as kind of reviewing other people's opinions.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, it just gives more to talk about. I think in the
Yeah.
end, like there's only so much I can say about the video game. I'm gonna have to look and see what other people are saying and what's coming up, and then give my opinion on how I feel about the game. So,
Mm-hmm.
how's your server coming along? You guys said you got 2.0 coming soon.
Yeah, we're releasing. NDRP is releasing their 2.0 version next Saturday. We officially announced the other day.
Nice,
So huge optimizations in the code. We're seeing almost a 70% decrease in CPU usage on the server
nice.
from where it was. So somewhere around there anyway. So it's looking good. How things are done is changing a lot. It might be a bit getting used to for everybody, but because usually, I mean, you get a prompt up on the screen, but now instead of kind of being a main focus prompt in front of you, it's going to be a little prompt in the bottom corner. So you'll have to know that there's something there, or you'll have to be paying attention for that little prompt pop up, which is kind of hard to see if you're not looking.
So,
Uh,
what do these optimizations mean for like a regular player? Does that mean you guys can have more people per server? That you don't have to have waitlisted for people that want to join the server?
well, so quality of RP mean basically requires us to have a whitelist, which means you have to apply and go through, have somebody review it and whatnot. But what it's going to be able to do right off the bat, we're going to be switching from 325 players on the server to 400, starting right at release. And just to put that into perspective, when I started playing GTA RP in 2017, you could only have 32 people on a server. So communities would have multiple servers, three, four servers going at a time, and you would stack it with like only 8 cops were allowed on a server at a time because you needed to balance between the all the players on the server. But seeing that we can now have 320. We've had 325 in there for the better part of a year, and a couple of times we've bumped it up to 350 because we had 70 people in queue waiting to get on. Um, but it really it still doesn't feel full. Like you're driving around and you still might not see anybody for like 5 minutes. So it's crazy that there's 325 people on there and you might not come across anybody for 5 minutes. Crazy.
Now, can you tell when you cross by someone? Like, I don't do a whole lot of RP and GTA, so
Sorry.
is there any way to tell that someone has crossed your path that is not an NPC?
I mean, how they act is generally um, very like you can tell a programmed response versus somebody actually talking. And I mean, players tend to not necessarily follow the rules of the road, shall we say? So they drive up to a red light, and well, hey, it's San Andreas GTA, right? You drive through the red light and you keep going. I mean, a lot of people still do, or they'll treat it more like a stop sign than a red light, and they'll pull up, look both ways, okay, it's safe, and then carry through. Some people just whip through, and I mean that's you get your regular traffic stops from that for the law enforcement people and whatnot.
What is the hardest part about maintaining the server? Like for like a player perspective, like RP and all that kind of stuff. Like what part of it is it like the people that run the red lights and just even though they say they're still in character, but they just run the red lights and they just do their own thing. Like what part's the hardest?
Um, I would say everybody wants to be the main character all the time, right? So everybody tends to think more about what they do uh, and how the server or the stories in the server affect or join or commingle with their story rather than uh, continue like thinking on a community wide level and saying how can my role play improve the community rather than the community improve my role play.
Okay, and how
And
their character develops within the community.
yeah, and it's a give and take, right? Like it should be considered more of an improv thing. So when you run into somebody, it's how it goes is random. Um, so you just kind of roll with it. You can't you and if something doesn't go your way, like if you're a criminal and you rob a store and the cops catch you, well, it's not about the win, it's not about the loss. It's just about the story that you're creating between those people involved, right? And a lot of people have a hard time remembering to keep that separate and focus more on just playing for the sake of the story. And some people, I mean, they chase the wins, chase the losses, whatever.
Right. Instead of being like, okay, shit, I'm just, I should be in character right now. Okay, I got caught. Now I got to play character of being caught. I got to tell them, give some bullshit story and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think for me that'd be the hardest part about doing RP as well. Be like, okay, man, I just want to pull out my gun and start firing because that's what I do in GTA. But alas, that's just mine. So yeah, no, that's good for the server though. You guys are really really busy. I mean, I took a look at the whitelist and like not your actual list, but like the procedure and how long it's taking and when you guys are opening, it's like you guys are actually really popular and really like really set up community. It's actually pretty good. So if you're looking for a GTA 5 server that does RP, take a look at New Day RP. They're what you guys are number one in the world right now.
well, I mean, it's a bit subjective. We obviously like to think so, but I mean, it depends on what you're looking for. We're right up there, definitely in the top servers in the world for sure.
Yeah, and not as many content creators, so you don't have to worry about that. People aren't going out there to just get some content from you. They're actually trying to RP, except for
Yeah,
there's
for sure.
probably one or two people that are not, or one or two people getting frustrated because anyway. But that's besides the point. Cool, man. Um, No, that's really good. I'm glad that it's found success. That's for sure. I mean, for the amount of time your guys are putting into it, from what I hear from you and Elle, and then uh, when you guys have talked about it in the past, just the amount of time. It's good that there's success behind it as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's literally years. And I know these guys that are doing the new coding for 2.0, they're putting in they're working their 40-hour a week jobs and then coming home and coding for another 6 to 10 hours, right? It's yeah, it's a definitely a big project.
Nice, awesome, cool. So we'll add a link in the bottom there for New Day RP. People can go check it out. And yeah, I guess we'll just end this here. So again, Starfield coming out end of the year time frame. If you're interested in playing a non-multiplayer RPG where you get to have all the fun by yourself and check it out, guys. And I'm pretty sure it's just starfield.com. Um, Otherwise, if you're looking at going into RP, check out New Day RP, and we'll leave some links in the comments, and leave comments below. Thanks for taking the time to yak, Rob. I appreciate it, man.
Oh, it's always fun.
Yeah, we should do this again. Give it a try. I like it.
Definitely. We'll try and get more